A lot of people online say that you need to be using a teleprompter, you need to be writing down and scripting everything you say, and if you don't, that you're not going to be able to maximize your views or your sales. And I'm here today to tell you that's bullshit. My name's James Smith and I do live events, sometimes in front of thousands of people, sometimes in front of hundreds. I do this social media thing, and although you're on one of my niche channels at the moment, I have other big channels. Over 1 million on Insta, over 1 million on TikTok, 500,000 on YouTube. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to present, how to speak, and potentially how to do live events, but better yet, how to attract an audience without having to script every word that you have in a video. You may have seen some of my other videos before where I critique people's social media content, and just quickly before we get into it, if you want me to have a look at your website, have a look at the content you put out and give you some live critiques, there's going to be a link in the description. You can click on that anytime for free. You can see how long it's been since we've used this from the amount of dust on it. And quickly, to anyone watching that doesn't know what this is a teleprompter. And every time you watch TV and the people, and today, welcome on the show, we've got a #1 Sunday Times bestselling author, they're reading and there's a little script in front of them. They become heavily reliant on it. And if you look carefully at their eyes, you can see their eyes reading the words. What you don't know is almost every single content creator, especially on YouTube, sounds so smart because they're reading words as they come up. And this is a teleprompter. Just before we get into the different types of teleprompter that there are, let's look at the benefits of when it would be a good idea to use one of these. If you are creating a course or something that's got loads of nuance and there's something really deep and complex you need to go into, actually you probably do need a teleprompter, because if you're going to be recording for 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes, not only are you going to experience lapse in concentration, courses are actually writing projects that you bring to life by talking to camera. Now, another time that I would say you should definitely get a teleprompter is doing something that I call the 50-50 test. I work with loads of small businesses trying to help them to grow online, and I don't know whether or not they're going to be better off with a teleprompter or without. So I get them to spend 50% of the content that they put out raw dogging it, sticking it out, no lube, without planning. And the other 50, meticulous, planning out, strategizing, creating a prompter flow that they can read through. And of course, this landscape has changed a lot in the last 2 years with ChatGPT, because you can write an amazing video, plot, education style theme, whatever, and you can just chuck it into Uncle GPT and say, yeah, can you write this better? And it is only through doing some videos with and some videos without that you can go look at the performance of those videos to see what people were vibing with. Because onto a quick side tangent, which I probably wouldn't have thought about if I'd scripted this video, is a lot of people seem to think with social media we're trying to beat the algorithm, but we're not. We're trying to resonate with humans. And if we can win with humans, we're going to win on the algorithm. And sometimes when people just raw dog it and spit the bars from the heart, people enjoy it more. Feels less robotic. So the only way you can know that is to test. Bit like trying to figure out if your missus likes it in the arse. Obviously you don't just stick your dick in the arse, like, come on. But without putting a digit in there, you're never gonna know. And they might not be sure, because most men aren't even sure. Where were we, Declan? Does it feel nice? I don't know. It feels like I'm pooing. Him or her? I don't know. Relax. Now, sometimes there can be very complex parts of a video. So you might be freeballing the entire video, but then when it comes down to breaking down the Krebs cycle or the legal implications or citing something scholarly or even reading out part of a study, that could be the perfect opportunity to bring that teleprompter in. So you can, in 1942, there were 72 people that conducted a randomized controlled trial using rodents, and they found out that whatever. Anyway. And the only other two possible places that I would say it's good to use a teleprompter is when you may be brain dead. So let's say you know you're on set all day filming ads or doing shoots or whenever I'm doing new tonic stuff with Chris Williamson. And another time I would say potentially is if you're doing something live and in front of an audience. Now, I have had the benefit of speaking in front of some very big crowds. And although you'll notice that when your favorite comedians do stand-up TV show, they will be reading from a teleprompter, you can tell by the cadence of their voice. I sometimes think there's a perfect middle ground between the two. Did the light just go off? Continuation, Declan. There you go. Even this little technical error that we've had here is another reason why it's okay to freeball. Is continuation? That's the word, isn't it? If that light was to remain off. Continuity, that's the one. That's why even moving the camera could be terrible for us. Live talks. Some people like to read teleprompters, but there's actually something that you can look at in front of people next time we go to a live show, and it's called a comfort monitor. Whenever I present, if you look carefully in front of me, there's 3 little screens on the stage, and there's a clicker in my hand. Now, for some talking points, the clicker changes what's behind me. If sometimes there's a visual or something that I want to present, it's up there. But if there's really important talking points that I want to have and make sure that I don't forget, I have them as click-through replicate slides. So let's say there's an image behind me and I've got 5 talking points. I will replicate that image 5 times in the presentation. And then each part, there is an element in PowerPoint, in presenter mode, that will come up on your comfort monitor. For instance, on my last tour, I spoke about a Soviet-Lithuanian psychologist called Bluma Zygarnik. That was interesting, just in case I forgot got a name. I then spoke about something that was called the Zeigarnik effect. And when you're in front of 2,000 people, sometimes you forget the word Zeigarnik. Then I would click, and the next slide would come up and saying that waiters and waitresses, she observed that there was a phenomena that they remembered what everyone ordered at the table up until the point they paid. Then when people paid, the waitresses used to forget. So she came to the conclusion that pending tasks take up more cognitive function than things that are put to bed. It's why we create cliffhangers in films or TV series. Whenever there's some curiosity and a loop is opened, our brain remains very active. But the second that we close a loop, our brain can relax, so to speak. And that has now been called the Zeigarnik effect. So even though I'm joking and maybe cracking jokes at one element of the talk, when I get in something in the nitty-gritty where I want to make sure I don't forget anything, having those click-through prompts in front of me can help me understand. I even sometimes put in those little slides, James, tell this joke. The Zeigarnik effect I utilize to empower people to give them more confidence. So for instance, if you're on the train and there's someone that you think is really fit and you're single and you want to approach them and give them your number, you could be penalized through not doing it. Because if you don't do it, you'll be thinking about it all day, all week, all month. Next time you go on a date, you might be sat in front of a person that you don't really fancy that much and you're just thinking about the person on the train. However, if you were to take action and to potentially set the metrics of success as asking the person, not getting the number, which is another video altogether, where in essence, you could say, I'm going to ask that person for their number. Even if they say no, I've won. Whereas if you were to set your success metric as I'm going to talk to that person, get their number, go on a date and fall in love, the likeliness of there being success in that scenario are much, much less. See, when we started planning this video, I never thought we were going to talk about the Zeigarnik effect, yet here we are. So planning and strategizing for live talks, 100% going to do it. But I'm not going to write down every single word. I'm just going to put in the things that are most important. And just how we get into how you can put that into your content, let's move into the next part. When not to use a teleprompter. The first thing would be if you're not very skilled at using a teleprompter, because reading from a teleprompter is a skill in itself. First of all, you need to look at the cadence of the words moving and compare that to how quick you speak naturally. You're then going to want to make sure that your lens size and how wide the text is, how tall the text is all in the right place so that your eyes aren't moving across the screen like it is right now when I'm going left to right, pretending to read words. Even little things. It's very important that when you are talking to camera that you break eye contact, because this is only a human thing. If you sit opposite someone and they just stare at you and they never break eye contact, it becomes very, wait, mate, hold on, mate, get out my face. So even when I'm reading from a teleprompter, occasionally I would just break eye contact. Again, which is part of the skill of doing it, but you can only do it getting better. So if you're someone in the infancy of wanting to put out content and grow your audience, and you could be 3 to 6 months away from being good at using a teleprompter, you could be setting yourself up to go backwards. And some people, probably the third scenario I would say is the worst, is where people think that using a teleprompter is a replacement for something I would call raw experience. Nothing beats raw experience. Let's look at driving. First time you get in a car, learn to drive, I'm like, fucking hell, Dad, why are there 3 pedals in the car? Go stop. What's the third? Clutch. What is that, Dad? Where's that been? Have you not seen your mum changing gears over the years? I'm like, this is all crept up on me. And nothing beats getting better at driving than doing more driving. You've got other scenarios, being in the workplace. First few weeks of work, you're absolutely shit in it. After a few months, normal. Editing. First time you start editing, you're like, chop, delete. Next thing, you're like Minority Report, moving stuff about. With content, it's the exact same. The only reason that you may think I'm good at content is I've done it more than you. If you were to watch me bowl in a bowling alley, chances are whoever's done it the most bowls the best. Chances are darts, any skill, the more you do it, the better you get. But don't think that you can circumnavigate or take shortcuts using the teleprompter because it's unlikely. Now, if you want to ignore my advice and still use a teleprompter, I've got you back to. Introducing the Elgato prompter. Good thing about this, USB-C, plugs it into your computer. It works as like another monitor, let's say, with a little reflection area here. Second thing that's good is you can get these little camera mounts, so you can put that onto the lens at the end of your camera. Probably only going to work if you're using a proper lens. Like, you're not going to get that on the end of a shitty camera, and it's not really going to work with something like a DJI Pocket Osmo 3. Now, the benefit of this over a traditional prompter is, let's say you're doing a podcast and you want to look at your guest in the eyes. You could drag your guest from their screen and put them onto the monitor so that when you're looking at them, they are there. Some people will do a podcast, their guest will be on a laptop to the side and they're just going to stare at a camera pretending they're looking at the guest. For this, it's amazing. Then another very kind of good type of teleprompter is just a purely reflective one. And this bit here is where you put an iPad. So all of those prompters come with apps. And with those apps, you type out your file for whatever it is, you paste it into the app, they come with a little remote. I can then stick an iPad in front, start, stop, speed up, go back. Most of my business mentorship courses are done on the iPad one. Now, of course, when people become proficient at using prompters, they sound smarter. They sound smarter. Even you could say not umming, erring, thinking, the fact that you go from one point to the next. And I must admit, although I do love freeballing videos, sometimes planning a little bit, you can work at a slower speed. This is why I much prefer using a Discord with my business than I do doing live calls with people. Because sometimes I need to sit and mull and think and then go back a little bit and give some more nuance. And again, probably the main benefit of one of those would be if you are doing something arduous or long-winded or a long period of time or something course related, having a teleprompter or some planned strategic notes for a live show alleviates stress. So when I'm doing live events, I'm going back to back and I'm doing the Hammersmith Apollo one night and then I'm going up to Manchester the next. If I'm super tired and my brain isn't functioning at 100%, I know that I'm not going to miss anything because I've got the prompts there ready and I can click through to them. Same like today. I'm knackered today. I went to the Lions the weekend at Melbourne. I got smashed 2 nights in a row. Yeah, I'm here bossing this video because of a little secret that I'll teach you about in a sec. Now, the reason that I'm not using a teleprompter right now, the first one is I actually really enjoy random tangents that we go on. We've spoken about fingers in the arseholes and potentially some other comical things purely because I've been given the freedom to talk about what I want. I think because of that, it can seem more genuine. So although I do take you on little side tangents and B stories and sometimes can overshare, a bit like the time I prematurely ejaculated in Barcelona. Long story short, I've never been terrible at premature ejaculation. Have you, Declan? No, he gives me the nod. However, there was one time in Barcelona in my early 20s where I was invited around someone's house on a Sunday morning, and I'm not sure if the stars aligned. I'm not sure if Pluto was out of its sync with Neptune or whatever it was. But for some reason, I prematurely ejaculated, and it must have been, I'm talking sub 45 seconds. And imagine this, if you will. I was trying to convince someone that I'd never met before that this is the only time I'd ever prematurely ejaculated. So can you imagine that, Declan, for a second, right? Met a girl, first time you met her. Knowing me in my early 20s, I was probably giving it big on Tinder. 45 seconds in, whoopsie. So then I'm trying to use all my energy to try and convince this stranger that this never usually happens before. It's the first time it's ever happened. And she's like, yeah. Because that is exactly what someone who premature ejaculated all the time would say. And I sometimes think that maybe in the upcoming years from that, she might have walked into WH Smith and seen my book and gone, that's the guy that told me he could last more than 45 seconds. So that tangent right there would never in a million years be in my notes, but it's fun and it's jovial and it humanizes the whole thing. Because guess what? If me and you were to go for a beer together, that's the exact thing that I talk about, as Declan knows. So if we are going to freeball, and if we are going to do this style of video, how can we ensure that we get everything that we need to into a video? Well, it's time to introduce to you that very one thing, the Google Doc. As you can see in front of me, I've got the Google Doc. Then all the things that we've spoken about before are here. I've actually already planned the title and the thumbnail and the introduction. And you'll notice that here I've just got talking points, just things to talk about. And then I've even said here to show previous documents of other videos. So if we go to docs.google.com, I've got courses that I've written, videos, I've got emails, I've got everything I could ever need, and sometimes it's just a few notes. I've even got a BDO expenses form here for my accountants. Anything I need, I sometimes just make a little Google Doc video. And then I even put an idea here that maybe as I was going to show you this, I was accidentally going to click and I'd be watching a Joe Wicks workout. I thought that could be quite funny. I open my laptop and they're like, oh, what's this? It's Joe Wicks. But I feel like we've had enough banter. Get back to it. So why Google Doc? It's easy to share with the editor because often Declan right now, he's probably enjoying his last days of being able to access porn without having to upload a picture of his fucking passport. Know about this in the UK? Mate, UK now, you want to watch porn when we're traveling to the UK in a few weeks, you got to upload a pic of your passport, mate. You got a VPN? Of course you have. You millennials are all about frictionless wanks. Me, I'm too old for a VPN. So I can send this to Declan. So even if he wasn't listening to anything I spoke about this whole video, which could be likely, I don't blame him. He has to do this all the time. He can look through the document and see where he needs to do stuff. 2, if we're going to link to different videos and resources, I can put them in the doc and Declan can then go and rip them from other websites, Snaptic, IG Real Downloader, whatever it is. And I then have a menu of what to talk about. And then if something is too complex, I could always just put it in. And even better yet, if I wanted to read a subsection of something complex, I can just read it like this, and then Declan just could put overlay, not only given the contextual reality of what's going on, but then that means I can look away from the camera for a while and you're no the wiser. Then if Declan's good, what's cool is you can just tell your editor how to edit. So I've even said here, Declan, let's get a jump cut in on the part of me saying how to edit. So he's then going to chop that bit of text. Then he's going to zoom in. He will have to move a little bit to keep my eye line in the same place. And then I can even say underneath, now Declan, show them telling me to tell you how to do this, which is the section I just put, because he might have thought to cut that out. It's like Inception. Moving on. And then here I've just got my outro. Planning is great, as we can see here. It's almost integral, but the issue is with over planning and over preparation and scripting videos from top to bottom, we can create a level of quality of content that's just too high. And what that means is you now say for a video, I need to plan. For me, I need to plan, I need to write. If I need to write, I need to allocate an hour into Google Doc, whatever. Now suddenly it's an hour of work to even start filming, which for me is just too much. So many of our videos that we've done, especially some of the ones that perform best on this channel, we just point and shoot. There was no planning at all. There was nothing to it. And I think that too many people online aren't sharing that with you and saying, hey, sometimes just hit record and just go for it. Too many people are like, strategize, plan. For some, yes, but for others, absolutely not. Because I don't think enough creators are talking about the fact that content frequency is so important for so many reasons. And it's actually really good that you do put out videos that don't do well from time to time, and you do put videos that do. But not all of them should be perfect. If all your videos are perfect, I would say you're not posting often enough, because then you're not getting enough feedback from things. If you don't have a system in place where you can produce fast and easy content, then all of your content will be slow and hard. And that is a problem. But the people whose businesses that I help, I teach them to make 100 videos as fast as possible, which can seem like really boring business advice. But these are the reasons. First one, something I coined the 7-hour rule. I believe that people might need to spend 7 hours in front of you before they're going to buy your shit. Whether you use YouTube, short form, whatever it is. It could even be podcasts. Great way to get into that. So if you're not putting out content enough frequently enough, that accumulation of that time before they buy it, it's just going to be too long. You've got the outlier rule. The majority of creators that I know, their video that was the outlier, they never expected to be the one that blew up. And it's often sometimes a piece of low value content that they didn't even know was going to resonate that well. And if they weren't in a groove of putting out content so frequently, it would never have happened. Most people are surprised by the video that explodes. And also, by focusing on 100 videos, more than focusing on making amazing videos, you can focus more on the process, not the outcome, which is the most important thing for everything. You need to fall in love with every component of this, then when you upload it to the internet, that's the end. Similar to what I said about asking the girl or the boy for their number on the tube, you need to determine what success looks like. And for me, I set success as everything we're doing now, recording, editing, putting it out. Because if I set success as the video performing really well and it doesn't perform well, that's not a win. Where instead we need to become wholly focused on the process. The creating the videos, the posting, the talking to the person, asking them for the number. The outcome will come if you focus on the process. But if you focus on the outcome, you'll get deflated, you'll get depressed, and you will not make it through as a creator. And the final lesson is this. It's only in doing 100 videos as fast as you can that you can see the impact and benefits and progress and experience that you can gain from 100 videos. It's only through doing 100 that you know what 100 can do, which gasses you up to do the next 100. Whether that's with the teleprompter, whether it's freeballing, you need to try everything as fast as you can on a daily basis. Now, like I said before, there's a link in the description where if you want me to critique your content and give you some honest feedback, I'll do it for free. But if you're someone that just wants to make better short form content, I've created a course. We've had over 4,000 people go through this course and people are loving it. So those links will be in there. Thank you very much for watching. I might as well give them an end card, eh, Declan? Let's have a look. So now we're trying to strategize between Declan, because this has been unplanned, as to what video we should give you as an end card. So if we go look at, let's go look at revenue, right? It's got to be the laziest way to make money in 2025. It's done $12,000 in US revenue. So now let's think of another hook. So if you love the idea of not scripting your videos because you're a bit like me, a little bit lazy, I've actually put together the laziest ways that you can make money in 2025. And this video has compelled more people to buy my stuff than any other before. So be careful.